Hey, Mr. Miller, thanks for
Hey.
coming in today. Hopefully you found the office okay.
I did, thank you.
Well, and that's why we have Kelly send out a little bit of a direction to get here to the office. And it looks like that you brought the materials here. So you came to the workshop, you and Barb, and I know Barb couldn't make it in today, as you told me, because she's busy still working. But my question is, how did you enjoy the workshop itself? Did you learn a little bit?
I did. You know, all this time I thought it was just 3 different numbers to choose from, and I was surprised to see that there's lots more options there, and also how incorporating my other assets into creating an income for me and my wife.
And that's important because that was really the point of the whole Social Security workshop is number one, opening your eyes that it's not cookie cutter. We don't just take it out at age 62 like we think it is, even though 75% of Americans, that's what they do because they really don't get advice before they make that decision. But what you did learn, and you just mentioned it to you, is it's about the big picture. Social Security is a portion of retirement, but it's not the everything. And the everything comes in whether or not, Steve, and we're going to find out, do you have a pension? And then we want to look at your 401k assets, IRA assets, after-tax savings. Where are you in the big picture? And then can we address this to your retirement goals? What is your goals? And that's what we want to find out today. So let me ask you a couple questions just to get ourselves started, if you don't mind. So Steve, what is your occupation?
I am a cut. You have to I have to make up all this?
Yeah, that's what we.
I know, but if I would have been nice if I'd have just known something about Steve Miller.
Oh, I don't even have.
It can be anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just throw anything. You can say I'm a machinist. I don't care. I mean, just throw anything. She works for Hartford County Public Schools.
She works at A&P.
He works for Exelon, which would be BG&E. So this
Okay.
guy works for BG&E.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to start again with asking. I'll edit this.
Okay.
Uh,
Your occupation.
Tell me about your occupation.
So Steve, tell me.
You have the glasses on. So put the
Okay.
glasses back.
Steve, tell me about your occupation. What do you do for a living?
Yep, BG&E for the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and Barb is a school teacher.
Okay. So you do have a pension because I know BG&E pretty well. So they have a pension program there for you.
That's correct.
Okay, great. And you got 23 years, and that's great. And you said your wife is a school teacher. And how many years has she been a school teacher?
For almost 25.
Wow, so she's been there a good bit of time.
Yep.
I have your date of birth. Tell me if this is correct, as 12/1/1951. And I have Barbara at 7/7/1950.
That's correct.
So I have you at 61 and 62. So I guess the first question as we get started, I saw that you brought your financial documents, and that's going to be a big help. Again, trying to look at the whole picture. But what's your plan? Do we plan to retire? Or health-wise, you look great.
Yep.
And Barb, she's not here today. I remember her at the workshop. But is Barb's health as good as yours?
Probably better.
That's even better. That's good. So both of you are relatively healthy.
Yep.
So when I show the things on the board that says that life expectancy is till age 85, you guys really are going to fall into that parameters as long as your health is good.
Yep. You know what? It's funny. After watching the presentation, I'm realizing that I haven't really given any thought to that of when I plan on retiring. I mean, I just assumed that it would be at age 65. But you know, depending on how the numbers work out, I may have to work a little longer.
And that's good that you have an open mind, because that's the key is
Yep.
what we're going to do today, and obviously most people haven't done this before, is we're going to start putting everything together for you. And that's the name of the game. This way, you and Barb can make an educated decision is when is our best position to retire? And are we going to retire at the point that if we do live to age 85, we're not going to run out of money? That's a big scare today, isn't it?
That is a big scare. I'm concerned about that.
Okay. So tell me,
especially
do you
after-
have children? I know they might be older, but you have children?
2 children.
Okay. So we have 2 kids. And what's their ages?
They are in their 40s,
Okay.
45 and 50.
Okay. And both doing well, successful, doing pretty good?
Doing well. They're healthy. They're married. They have children.
Great. So we got grandkids too then.
Grandkids.
That's even better. It's always nice when you have the grandkids. Okay. And what would you say your annual income is?
Mine would be probably in the $60,000 to $65,000 range.
Okay. And you've maintained that income for a long period of time? Been
I
around
have.
that? Okay.
Yep.
And Barb as a school teacher?
Probably in the $32,000 range.
Okay. So combined income, we're close to about $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Very good. And tell me a little bit about your house. Do we have a mortgage on our house, or do we not have a mortgage on our house?
We are finishing up the mortgage. We refinanced and then created a 10-year So we have probably about 4 or 5 years left on the mortgage.
Okay, so that tells us a lot. So here we are at 61, and 5 years from now, we could almost pretty much say that we're going to be debt-free from the biggest bill that we're going to have,
Right.
which is our mortgage. So
mortgage.
that's great. How about credit card debts? Do we hold much of that, or
You
do
know
you try
what?
to take care of
We've
that?
been good about that. We usually don't spend more outside of our means, so we don't have a lot of debt in that way.
Steve, you're my
probably
favorite client. Guys,
probably like to be
guys who
recommend-
live within their means. That's
If
a
it's
number
not
one.
paid for cash, we usually try to.
That's good. That's one of the big subjects we like to talk about to a lot of people is keeping our debt under control, especially in retirement. We can't go ahead and pay a 19% return on a credit card when obviously in today's interest rate environment we really can't get that. So debt control, I congratulate you.
Well, I
Here you are at
appreciate it. Thank you.
61, and we don't have debt, and all you guys have 5 years left on your mortgage. That allows us to really start to position ourselves for that word retirement.
I see.
So that's great. And questions that I also would have is, you have a little bit of life insurance. Does something happen to you while you're still working?
We do. We have a little bit left on a term policy.
Okay.
And each of us have a permanent plan. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the paperwork for the
That's
permanent
okay.
insurance, but I think it's $100,000 each permanent.
Okay. And next time, maybe when we pop in here, if you could bring that in, it'll be just another thing we can look at so we can get an idea of the whole picture again. So that's
Okay.
great that you at least have life insurance and you're realizing it. Other things I like to ask, I always talk to people when do you have wills and all that? Have you and Barb taken the time to do that?
Unfortunately, we have not. It's always been a discussion, but we have yet to do anything and move forward with meeting with an attorney or what we even need to do to put something like that in place.
Okay. Well, the good thing is we do work with an attorney here out of the office, and if need be, and I think the need be is definitely there. You guys have pushed the cart far enough as far as luck and nothing happening where you needed all the benefits. But there's 3 major documents we like to share with everybody. You do need a will. But secondary, that's almost even more important, Steve, because I'm assuming you have a good 401k with BG&E.
We do have a strong retirement plan.
So I want you to understand, without this document called power of attorney, if God forbid, whether or not you met me or didn't meet me, if you got sick, Barb cannot call your 401k provider and says, I need $10,000 to be pulled out of Steve's account to pay his bills. Without her power of attorney, just because she's your wife, does not give her the privilege to make any calls on your name because you haven't given her that opportunity. No. So power of attorney gives us the power while we're living, and you vice versa for her. God forbid we needed monies on her side and she was in a car accident, she had a stroke, and she couldn't make them decisions. Without the power of attorney, neither one of you can look after each other. And obviously you got 2 children, they're of adult age, they should be your backups to that. So that needs to be addressed. And then the third document you should have is called Advance Directive. And that helps put everything together. If one of us gets sick, how do we want to maintain ourselves? What kind of care do we want? So we want to have that in the portfolio too, but that's good. You realize we're at that age, we should definitely have it.
Right.
So that's important.
Okay.
Now we're here for a main reason, which is Social Security. So I can see here that you did bring your Social
Yes.
Security forms. And let me give you a little scenario here. Social Security, the numbers I'm going to eventually be able to pull up for you, and I won't be able to do the analysis for you today. It takes a little bit of time for us to build this analysis. But having the information that you have here is going to help me out a lot. And I see, Steve, that you say at age 66, your Social Security benefit would be at your what we call FRA, full retirement age, would be $2,842. But I also want to show you on your form that you see at age 70, your benefit's actually going to be $4,140. So that difference of that 4 years, as I mentioned in the workshop, it grows at a guaranteed rate of 8% a year. 32%, better than you're getting right now in the bank accounts, correct?
Better than that. That's
Better
for
than
sure.
that.
Guaranteed.
And then we put Barb in there, and obviously you had the benefits. Her at age 66, her benefits would be around $2,242. Then at age 70, she's around $3,000. Got some nice benefits there, but what I want to educate you is the form that you have is not exactly accurate. It's accurate in the way that it's telling us one thing, that in the year 2033, if we do nothing, and I know this shocked you at the workshop, we're going to get only 77 cents on the dollar of what we had anticipated doing it. So if we take it at age 62, which you're able to do next year, and in 20 years from today, Social Security does make the cut, we're going to lose what? 23% of that. That's a big cut. So if we can, and I'm going to look at your pension benefits, and I'm going to look at your 401ks, maybe, and this is my suggestion, we're going to look at it, maybe we take from our 401k if we want to retire versus leaving it like most Americans till age 70 and a half. And the reason why most people leave till 70 and a half is because they don't want to pay tax on the money.
Right.
You've enjoyed saving it. You probably enjoyed watching it grow by leaps and bounds over all these years. You've been with BG&E for almost 30 years now,
Right.
so you probably built up a nice little nest egg, and we've enjoyed watching it grow. So we hate to take from it, but if I could take from a different bucket, so the other bucket grows at a greater rate, it makes a little bit more sense.
So what you're saying is you're building a bridge for me to get to the higher retirement benefit through Social Security
Exactly.
with my other assets.
And that's what we want to take a look at between the pension and, of course, our 401k assets. Instead of me taking $2,000 a month out of our Social Security, maybe we take it away from our 401k. And again, we're going to look at your 401k and take a peek at that.
Yep.
But one thing I want to tell you is this worksheet that we have here, yours that you got, that you pulled off the internet, were nice enough to bring in, doesn't show what we call cost of living increase rider.
Wow.
My analysis is going to take in effect that the average Social Security increase a year goes from 1.8 to 3.8% a year. So the figures we have here, they're going to be actually a little bit more accurate on my software when I build you an analysis that's going to be the recommendation.
So my statements that I get online or I used to get in the mail do not incorporate the cost of living increases.
they don't.
I did not know that. Okay.
And that's one of the questions we're going to, and it was nice that you brought in this form because you talk about how many years you plan to retire. And I see here that you do plan to work till age 65 based on the sheet that you filled out. And Barb too. So health-wise, we're okay. So what that's telling me is if I want to leave my Social Security alone, how can I build you a bridge using your terminology from 65 to age 70 where we can let our Social Security grow? The good thing is I want to share with you today that you learned at the workshop at 66 something magical happens for Barb, doesn't it?
Yes.
You remember that?
Partially.
Okay. It's called the spousal. She's able to take a spousal benefits
Oh, of course.
based on all your years. But by doing that, and I showed you that Barb has a great benefit we went over, but by us taking that benefit, it doesn't cost you a dime. Your money still grow from 66 to 70 at a guaranteed rate of return of 8%, and Barb's is still doing the same as well. That's what I call the free money. It's been available. But the reason why most Americans don't know about it is because once you take your benefits out at 62, if Barb would have done that, she would no longer be entitled to take it out as a spousal benefit at age 66.
Nice.
So by you being here today, we're ahead of the game. We can make that plan and make that happen while Barb's benefits continue to grow.
That's fantastic.
So her working till 65 says, I only got to build a bridge for her for 1 year, and I got to build a bridge for you for 5 years if we want to maximize yours. But because you're the higher income earner, one thing we always got to keep in mind, and my wife will never be the high income earner as well. I know I'm going to work till age 70, or at least I'm going to leave my benefits alone until age 70. Reason being is my wife's 2.5 years younger than me. If at age 75, God forbid, I drop over and I'm not here no more, I want my wife to have the highest benefits possible. So if I take it out early, not only do I take a lesser benefit, but in truth, I affect my wife getting the larger benefit when I'm not here.
I see.
So we all know, and we joked about it at the workshop, is when you go to these assisted living or retirement homes, it ain't the good old boy club, it's the ladies
Girl
club.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure she's okay. So you is more important than even Barb, and we can leave your benefits alone if possible till age 70 because that grows at the greatest amount.
Okay.
So look at your Social Security. I am going to come back to you. We're going to meet again on analysis, but I also want to look at your 401ks. So before I take a look at your 401k statements, one of the first questions I like to ask you, not knowing you from Adam, what is your risk tolerance? If 1 was the least risky and 10 is the highest risk, where are you? We're 61 years of age. Where are we today?
You know what? I'm probably more on the risk side. Probably more risk. There's probably more risk to my portfolio than I should be. I'm probably more in the 8.
So you're really out
in the
there,
8,
buddy.
Yeah.
You're
8
out there
range.
like I would probably suggest for a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old. So at 61, you've been really living on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, I would have to say so.
Now, have you always been that pretty much that little bit of a risk taker all these years?
I have been, and well, I guess as you know, in the past, we have certainly have taken a loss for that too.
Okay, so we got to keep that in mind going forward. Risk when you're younger made all the sense in the world. You had time on your hands. But one of the first things that we had chatted with earlier is you said, I hope to retire at age 65, which is 4 years away. So being high on that cliff, taking a big nosedive could be a really big risk to our portfolio. So let's take a look at your 401k if you don't mind, and let's see what
Please.
you have. So it looks like your assets in your 401k are around $400,000. So you've done really well, especially in the last 4 years. The stock market's been fantastic. For those that were the risk takers, you really had a nice little run here. But you do remember what happened in 2001, 2002.
I do.
And
I'm concerned. I'm glad that we're here taking a look at it today, because I think there should be maybe some switches made
Okay.
to the portfolio.
And in 2008, 2009, just in them 2 years, the market went down 45%. Here we got this substantial account of, $500,000. If we lose 45% of that, and in 3 years, I'm your financial advisor, and I stay at this high risk level, and I said to you, Steve, we're sitting here at $300,000, but I know you said you could handle risk. Are you going to be happy with me if your portfolio goes from $500,000 down to $300,000 in your retirement years?
I'm going to be worried about that.
Yeah. And how about Barb? Do you think Barb would be a little worried about that?
She would be. Her portfolio is probably less riskier than mine.
It's funny. That's
Isn't that
how it
funny
always is. I like to equate it to when I was a young boy, probably Steve when you were a young boy. And there was a big hill, and we had these things called skateboards. And the girls watched from the sideline. They like to watch us. But it was always the boys on the skateboard going down the mountain or going down the hill.
Yeah.
We took all the risk, and we usually wiped out. We tore up our knees. We did something really crazy. Well, that's sort of a man's mentality. And we always had that little edge, and we like that little risk. But in retirement, we're going to look at it. It may not make as much sense.
Might not be a fit. Yeah.
Because we have the pension, we have the Social Security. Now it's about having a secure retirement versus just trying to hope that we have wonderful years in the stock market.
Makes
Stock
sense.
market's been good to you. You got a wonderful account. But at one point, if you were sitting at the roulette wheel and you're rolling really good, which is what you've done the last 4 years, at what point do you say, maybe it's time to take some of this off the table and protect what I have? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, not today, but we want to get an idea of what your risk tolerance is. But I'm glad that you're able to acknowledge that maybe I'm more risky than I should be at my age. So it's not me sharing it to you. You pretty much know it. You just haven't really known how to change it up a little bit.
I'd agree with
So
that.
we're going to look at that. And how about Barb? I see Barb she's got a great 403B here with the teachers.
Yep.
And she's got $170,000 as well. So she's done well. And you're 500. So between the two of you, we have an excess of $670,000. Well, another concern would be, you said that you have the 2 kids. What if something happened to you and Barb? And you probably remember me sharing the stretch IRA concept. You got this large portfolio. You are over the age of 59 and a half, and I've worked with BG&E clients before. You have the ability that you could take a portion of that money out, transfer that to an IRA. Now we have the ability that we could stretch it out over the children's if something happened to, God forbid, you and Barb. The other thing about a 401k is you have a money market and you have bond funds, but there is no what we call fixed account. It gives a stated rate of guarantee. So they don't have them in 401ks, but they are on the outside through IRAs that we can produce. So sometimes it's good to say, do I really want all these assets in my 401k? Now, I'm still going to ask you to continue to contribute to your 401k, even if that's something we want to do by transferring some of that out into maybe the safety of an IRA, that we can put some
I
safety
have that
mechanisms
option. I
in
can
there.
keep the account open and continue to make deposits,
Yes.
but move money out.
'Cause
Because I'm
with-
59.
Yes,
and a half.
sir.
Okay.
You're over 59 and a half, they allow us what we call an in-service withdrawal. The nice thing is you still make your contributions. And your contributions, if we pull out some of that account value, you can still be a little bit aggressive with it because you're buying shares, Steve, every week. And there's no better way to invest when you're buying shares every week. The problem is you got so much of an asset today that if the market takes a hit, you got a lot at risk. So the actual deposits are doing well. So we got your Social Security. That's going to look good in the analysis. We have your 401k. And I see that you have a pension. And if you were able to retire today at 65, I see that you'd have a benefit of $2,300 a month. So you got what I say, one of the fortunate folks, you get the 3 components of retirement. You do have a pension, and your wife has another one at her age of 62. She's got $1,200 a month. So just on guaranteed income alone, we're going to have a guaranteed $3,500 a month just in pensions alone. Just in pensions. That's pretty substantial. $3,500 a month, that's about $39,000 a year. That's a heck of a nice little income there.
Yep.
Guaranteed. That's nice. Well, what I'd like to do is thank you for your time today. I want to put all this together in a package for you. Obviously, we talked a little bit about your risk, saying that maybe I shouldn't be as risky as I am. What options do I really have? You know, we have a large sum sitting here exposed in our 401k. And maybe we're okay with the 403B over here. They have different rules than what the 401ks are for Barb, but maybe we take a piece of this and we try to safeguard it, maybe protect it a little bit. But I want to do the analysis for you. And what the analysis is going to show us is dollar for dollar, what can we expect if we leave this guy alone completely? So if you don't mind, I'd like you to come back. I'd like to schedule an appointment when you step out. Kelly will set you up maybe for an appointment next week or the week after, and then we can go into talking about putting all this together.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks.
Okay,
All right, Steve, bye-bye.
thank you.